As we have a quorum at this time, I'll call to order the Land Clearance Redevelopment Authority, the city for its regularly scheduled meeting held on Tuesday, January 23, 2024 via Zoom, and we avoided the ice apocalypse of yesterday. Can we do a roll call, please?
Yeah. Where do you go?
Can we do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Spencer,
Present.
Commissioner Jones,
Present.
Chair McBride,
Present.
and I'm going to see if I can get the new commissioner on while you are talking, okay?
Very good. I understand that President Richardson has to depart the meeting early, so I want to go ahead and open the floor for him to provide his president's report.
Yeah, so thank you, Chairman McBride, and thank you, commissioners, for your support. I do want to address one matter that has risen as a concern by constituents and the public as it relates to the SLAP site known as the St. Louis Ammunition Plant, formerly for the RFP that was released in 2023 by our LCRA and got approval from this board to do so. Just to give some quick background, this asset is 16 plus acre site. It's one of the largest contiguous sites that LCRA and the city controls across the entire city of St. Louis. So it's important that we, set aside these assets to attract significant development projects on a national level, as well as driving job growth. LCRA, as you all know, our mission is the removal of blight for the purpose of economic development and job creation. And we've been taking steps really since 2006 to achieve that goal. First, through the remediation of expending $2 million on cleaning up that site, as well as using funds to demolish previous buildings that were derelict on that facility and the ongoing maintenance of that site over the years. We've also worked with several retailers since we own the site to have conversations in the likes of Walmart, Home Depot, and others. We've worked with brokers such as Opus, Desco, and Balky Brown on marketing that site because it was initially set aside for a significant retail anchor. That was laid out in the strategic land use plan and it's zoned in that accordance. That was adopted by the neighborhood, put forth by the neighborhood and then adopted, by the Planning Commission within the strategic land use plan, which is the comprehensive plan for the city of St. Louis overall. And so when we've been working since really 2020 to 2023 with the potential developer to create an advanced energy innovation district for regional amenities. The developer informed us last year that they were not moving forward with that site, and we moved forward with requesting permission from this board to issue the RFP. The RFP was issued on October 2nd, 2023, with the deadline for original proposals of being November 20th, 2023. LCRA then moved forward with approving a blighting study and a plan at our meeting in November of 2023. And again, this is really centered around the neighborhood's goals of having a retail anchor driving this asset moving forward that aligns with the strategic land use plan and current zoning requirements. We received one proposal. LCRA staff met to review that proposal and determined that it was not fully responsive to the RFP as it did not guarantee the retail uses. As we requested, the primary use of the site was non-retail oriented. 30 jobs on a 17-acre site is really an underutilization of what our goal is of approximately 300 to 500 jobs that can be brought to this site overall if we are able to attract the right development opportunity. The proposal also was in conflict with the strategic land use plan that is currently being updated. I had the privilege of sitting in the Housing, Urban Development and Zoning Committee hearing today when Don Rowe, our Executive Director of the Planning and Urban Design Agency, presented the plan for the city of St. Louis to update the comprehensive plan overall. The first time we've done that in decades. And so really excited to see that moving forward. And the reason for the strategic land use plan is to ensure that we're taking a comprehensive, holistic approach to development across our city. And we have a diverse set of economics and industries to diversify our earnings as a city and our tax base, and continue to ensure that we attract job creation from across the region and across the country. So that proposal that was presented was also in conflict with the existing zoning that exists, or would require a variance from the Planning Commission, as well as authorization from the Board of Aldermen. The sources and uses statement provided was not provided as required. And then the most important piece, as you know, since I've taken over as Executive Director of LCRA, is we have a community-driven approach. And the alderwoman and the neighborhood organizations within that community had not been engaged about this development proposal. And as a requirement of response to this proposal, we put a stipulation that a letter of support or a commitment from the community needs to be provided, and that had not been provided either. And while, we are willing to continue to negotiate and be open to all development opportunities, we want to have a community-driven approach to this. And any developer that engages with us, if it does not meet the initial request of the community, if they engage with the community, and we've had some discussions with the respondent around that. And so we look forward to them taking those steps of engaging with the alderwoman as well as the neighborhood organizations surrounding this site. And if they would like to put forth a proposal that's more reflective of what the community needs are in that area, we are open to exploring that proposal and working with them on achieving the highest and best use of this site. And again, as our job at LCRA is to look out for the public benefit and the community itself, we believe we moved in the best action according to our mission. So I just wanted to ensure that I opened that up to our commissioners if they had any additional comments or responses to the staff around the decisions that have been made, because we are, again, working to staff the board of a public entity, which is the Land Clearance for Redevelopment Authority. And this board itself governs that. And so we wanted to make sure that we have input from you all as we move forward. But again, we believe, based on the RFP itself, the one response that we had did not meet the requirements which were set forth and approved by this body. So any questions or comments there, I definitely open it up to the commissioners. If not, I do have a pressing meeting at the mayor's office that I am required to attend, so I have to run, but you are all in good hands with the staff at SLDC.
Very good. I have no questions. Any of the commissioners have questions of President Richardson on this matter?
I just want to clarify, we're talking about the property on Goodfellow?
Yes, sir. That's 70 Goodfellow. Yes, sir.
I just say thank you for clarifying some of the comments and getting into a little bit more detail on the efforts that we put forth. And it's a challenging time to find developers for any parcels right now. And I think more time would give us an opportunity to hopefully have some more opportunities as well. Yes,
sir, Commissioner Spencer, I agree with you. And as I stated, it's not a never approach to this, or go away. We want to work with developers, but it has to be reflective of what we are responsible for here, and that's the public good and the public benefit. And the strategic land use plan is there for a purpose. It's the comprehensive plan of the city. We put out the RFP in alignment with that plan, and we have to abide by that plan itself. I'm excited to see that it's being updated fully with PDA and the Planning Commission, and SLDC will be walking in lockstep, and LCRA will be walking in lockstep with PDA as they make those updates to ensure that we are identifying strategic assets to market to the private sector to attract jobs, housing, and other economic development activity that drives our city forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. You all have a great meeting, and if you need me, you know how to find me. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
And we will pick up with the agenda, and I'd also like to recognize our newest commission member, Ms. Lori Koenig. Lori comes to us from highly recommended and regarded Wells Fargo, as I understand. And did you want to have any words to the commission, Lori, or?
No, I just thank you for the warm welcome from everyone, and I'm really excited to be a part of your team and see some wonderful things happening for the city. So, and in advance, I thank you for your patience. Yeah, I'm retired right now, but I retired from Wells Fargo a couple of years ago, and I'm doing this board work as well as some consulting in financial modeling for startups on the side, just to give you a little background. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Outstanding. At this time, we'll take up the approval of the minutes for the meeting held on December 12, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Koenig,
Aye.
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye.
Motion passes with all voting yes.
Thank you. We'll take up resolution 24 LCRA 10838 regarding 1105 Olive Street. Zach, you're going to walk us through that?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. This resolution is declaring 1105 Olive Street area to be blighted and approving a blighting study and redevelopment plan for that said area. The redevelopment plan also allows for 10 years at 75 tax abatement of 10 years at 75%. The 1105 is in downtown neighborhood. It is being purchased by Corica Group LLC for $550,000. They will plan on investing in $1.2 million into the project. This is it's a win-win on many levels for the city on this one. We're helping retain a small business that's growing. This will retain 10 jobs and create 10 full-time jobs also. And it will also renovate a long-time vacant building on Olive Street in downtown, and hopefully help bring some much-needed street traffic to this block. We have Mark Jacobs and Erica Williams to speak for the developer, and we have Andrew Knapp to discuss the community scorecard, which is passed on tier 1 level. Allows for up to 10 years at 80%, I believe, and Jake Nerup to speak on the physical scorecard.
All right. Mr. Jacobs, would you like to add and give a little more color to the presentation that Mr. Wilson provided us?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mark Jacob. I represent Erica Williams and Corica Group. Thank you for having us here today. We appreciate it. Erica Williams has over 10 years of entrepreneurial project management and budgeting experience. She currently owns and operates a business in a disadvantaged community as the president and CEO of Corica Group Home Healthcare. It's a trusted home healthcare provider offering services since 2013. She's also the founder of Corica Group Adult Daycare. It's an ideal alternative for seniors, people with disabilities. She's a licensed pharmacy technician with certifications in medical billing and coding, with over 14 years of experience in the healthcare field. On a personal note, she's married to Cortez Williams. She has 2 children, Brianna and Cortez Jr., and she's a woman of faith who loves empowering people with disabilities to increase their independence through choice and opportunity. Through the time I've worked with her, I can tell you that she's meticulous and she's hard on me, but she's great to work with. A little bit about the project for you all. Corica Group is excited about this renovation project of an office building that was once on the city's demolition list. It'll be designed to meet the diverse needs of the local community, seamlessly integrating upstairs office use with an adult day club or daycare for seniors and individuals with disabilities on the ground floor and the atrium. Some of the key features will include meeting rooms, communal spaces, and high-speed internet, an inclusive atmosphere where seniors and adult day club all feel that they can be part of the action in a holistic, dynamic working environment, and cost-effective opportunities for small businesses to gain access to office space and facilities, fostering collaboration, creativity, and a sense of purpose. Corica Group's Olive Street project is not just a space for work, it's a community hub that brings together professionals, seniors, and their caregivers. I'd like to give Erica an opportunity to just tell you in a few moments some recent updates to the project that I think you'll be pleased with. And if I could right now, just turn it over to Erica. Thank you.
Hello, hello everyone, and good afternoon. As Mark stated, I am Erica Williams, and first I'd like to thank the city and the staff members of the LCRA for inviting us and entertaining our application to help make this project a reality. Also, I wanted to mention to you all that we only learned just a few days ago that the city would want us to have recommendations from the neighbors for this project, and we already have several who have signed a petition in favor of this project. I also spoke with Alderman Rasheen Aldridge of the 14th Ward yesterday, and he offered us a letter of support. And we really look forward to working with you all on this important project, which has been a dream of mine for some time. And I'd like to thank you all. I don't want to take up too much of you all's time because I know that you all are pretty busy and have a pretty lengthy meeting scheduled. But that's all I have to say at this current time.
Thank you. And Ms. Williams, are you going to be providing the adult daycare services at that location itself?
This is true.
Okay. And what is it going to be in phases for the floors above the first 2? I note in our background, it says that the $1.2 million is for the first 2 floors. So is it just a 3rd floor above it, or what am I missing here? Or what am I not appreciating correctly?
There are additional floors to this building. This is phase 1.
Okay. And for phase 1, then is going to be you said there are going to be 20 jobs total that are going to be in this location?
There could be more, but as we have things structured right now, there are at least 20.
Okay. At this time, are there any questions from the commissioners for Mr. Jacob or Ms. Williams?
Maybe just a quick question on the construction. Are there any plans, and I haven't seen the financial model just yet, but any plans to improve the facade that's obviously gone through a couple different iterations over all the years?
Yeah, Erica can tell you about the facelift they want to do in the front.
Absolutely. We definitely have plans on reviving the front of the building. We wouldn't be necessarily doing anything structurally to the front of the building, but we would be putting a new storefront, new windows. We've got a lot of plans for this building.
Yeah. And it's my understanding it's been vacant for quite some time.
Yes, it has.
Thank you.
And has an architect been engaged for these plans?
Yeah, and I believe the preliminary plans have been sent to the staff.
Okay. Let's move on to Andrew. And Andrew, can you walk us through their community benefit scorecard, please?
Yeah, so as Zach stated, we get to 34 total points, which puts it into tier 1, eligible for 10 years up to 80% abatement. So great transit access. It's near a downtown Metrolink station, so 7 points for that. The slide shows 19 FTE. We have an slide up to that. It's actually 20. Still the same amount of points. So 6 points for that. It's obviously a historic building built in 1881. For preserving the building, you get 5 points. For creating jobs in an employment district downtown, it's 5 points for that. Developer and owner of the business, MWBE, 5 points for that. As has been mentioned a couple of times, the building has been vacant, so 5 points for rehabbing a vacant building. And then just 1 point for the amount of the investment in the project of 1.7 million. So get to 34. If you have questions, happy to answer them.
Any questions for Andrew? Very good. Then we'll turn over to Jake for the financial benefit model.
Sure. So since we have a new commissioner and a new year, I think it's probably a good opportunity to give everyone just a little bit of kind of high level background on how our financial analysis works. I've also been informed that I forgot to attach the dashboard for this one to the slides. So you'll just have to go based on the numbers I have in front of me, and we will make sure to get the dashboard to you shortly. So kind of the goal of the model is to quantify and capture essentially all of the new tax revenue that's generated as a result of any given development. Obviously, the primary piece of that is going to be new property tax revenue, but we do also strive to capture and estimate payroll and earnings taxes, retail sales taxes, personal property taxes, kind of all of those flows. This building currently has base property taxes of $5,600. We're estimating that'll increase to about $18,000 during the tax abatement, and then a little over $60,000 after the abatement's over in year 10. For the real estate modeling on that, because this is a pretty unique use, we essentially just modeled the adult daycare and office spaces as kind of very modest rent, downtown retail and office. And then I did include a nominal amount for the upper floors for the later phase, just to acknowledge that they're maybe not actively being renovated or used right now, but they are certainly still taxable. We projected a total fiscal benefit to the city of $142,000 over 10 years, increasing to $398,000 over 20, and fiscal benefit to the schools of $94,000, excuse me, over 10 years, increasing to about $500,000 over 20. Because of the unique nature of the services that are provided here, we didn't estimate any essentially sales taxes on those services. I know a lot of these things are kind of paid for through a combination of public subsidies, Medicaid waivers, things of that nature. So it's not always clear how much or to what degree those are taxable. We kind of had a similar conversation a year or two ago regarding a funeral home, where I believe the sale of the flowers was taxable, but the funeral services were not. So we sort of erred on the side of caution here and didn't try to quantify any additional revenue from those sources. Total hard cost of the project estimated about 1.2 million. So that would generate about $285,000 for minority-owned firms, and $130,000 for women-owned firms. Again, those minority compliance requirements are something that we are able to enact because of the abatement attached to this project, and it's not something we could require otherwise.
And Jake, I want to use our words clearly here, that the MWBE or MWE and WBE are for the construction to be associated with this project.
Correct. For the rehab of the building. For this one, again, our model is at its heart a real estate model. So when we talk about estimating returns for a developer, that is really just the return on real estate. Because the real estate is not necessarily providing the value here, the value is the ability to provide these services. We did not include a developer's return. We really don't have any way to benchmark the potential sale of an adult daycare 10 years from now. So we don't have a frame of reference. Just in full transparency, the model did estimate a developer's return of around 11%, which is typically higher than we would see downtown. But that sort of requires this hypothetical scenario where the adult daycare center is sold to another adult daycare center provider in 10 years. And 11% may be a reasonable return. We don't have a lot of comps for that type of thing, but that would be slightly elevated compared to a typical office or retail transaction. If this building were sold as office 10 years from now, though, that new user would be required to do a significant amount of additional build out. So it would not really be a kind of market rate transaction, but happy to answer any questions at this point.
Okay, any questions for Jake? Usually there's a dashboard, as he explained, and don't mean to pile on you here, but just for the benefit of Commissioner Koenig.
Hang on one second. Here we go.
Okay, and this will show Commissioner Koenig kind of what you were indicating. So that's the format, and it lays out the various revenue impacts that Jake just walked us through in a comparative manner. So
It's
Yeah,
usually
that-
prettier though, and more colors, so I just want to point that out too, so.
I like the colors just fine.
Okay.
I did have one question. I see in most of the documents, it says the investment is like about 1.7. However, there's one page that says 1.92. But I may have printed a wrong version or something.
Mr. Jacob may be able to speak to this. I believe construction costs increased about $200,000 between the first application and the second application. And I think that should cover that discrepancy.
I think also I know that there's a private debt of about 1.7 and then a total project cost of about 1.9. And so it could be that's a part of the discrepancy. There were some changes in construction, but it wasn't that significant. We're excited about the project. You know, we're excited for the city's help to help make it happen.
Yeah.
Happy to answer any other questions.
Mr. Jacob, how many floors are there in this building?
I think there's 4. My client will of course jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe there's 4 floors.
She seems happy with your answer. And then where are is there an existing daycare that will be moved to this location? And if so, where is the existing daycare?
Right, this is a new daycare. There is an existing daycare, but this will be a new adult daycare location, and they're calling it a day club, sort of making it a little more integrated with the business environment that they're planning to put into the building. So it's a little bit of a different model. There is an existing home health care company, and those are the jobs that are being relocated. Those are the 10 that are being relocated.
Okay, very good. And then will the existing adult daycare remain in its current location?
I believe so. Erica, is that correct? The other one?
I'm sorry, I had to unmute myself. That is true.
Okay, very good. Are there any other questions for either the presenters or the staff from the commissioners on this project? I see Commissioner Spencer's hand is up and his yellow hand is up, so
I'm still
please
working.
proceed.
Still working on the emojis. I was just able to pull up the screen, just make it a little bit larger, but I do have a question if the federal or state historic tax credits were considered for helping finance a project like this. It seems like a pretty good fit. So just wanted to get some feedback on that. And then if the answer is no to that, is the financing in place? And when do you feel like the construction might be able to start?
Right. I'll answer the second question first. The financing is already in place, and we intend to be able to start to construction really, I mean, I would think as soon as possible when the weather clears up at the end of this year. You know, so, you know, even earlier if possible. If we could get through this process sooner, we would love to start construction before the weather gets bad at the end of this year, before the late fall, and to be able to get as much done as possible. We'd love to hit the ground running as early in 2025 as we could. With regard to historic tax credits, as you know, the state historic tax credit pool is a limited amount of funds. And to go through the process for a relatively small amount of funding, we didn't think it was worth it for the client to take the extra time to do it or the extra legal expenses to try it. We did not look into the federal funds, and we did not even look on whether it was a part of the Federal Register to qualify. If of course, if the city thinks we should do that, we're happy to do so.
Thank you.
Yeah, we leave that decision up to each developer. If there are no further questions, then I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 24 LCRA 10838.
So moved.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Koenig,
Aye.
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Chairman McBride.
Aye.
Motion passes without voting yes.
All right. Thank you and good luck in your project.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Then
much.
we're going to take up 3 resolutions from last year and last month's agenda. So we'll start with 23 LCRA 10832 relating to the approval of sale of 1401 Tower Grove Avenue. Mr. Anderson, are you going to walk us through that?
No, Mr. Netta is.
So they keep not putting your name on here. I'm sorry.
I don't know what's wrong with him. So we'll take the first one, it was brought back so we can get appraisal, so we can get the best price or adequate price for the properties. So this first one is Tower Grove Vista Townhomes, who want to purchase the property for the construction of row home apartments to rent. They are offering $25,000.
And did that, I think the question may have been from Commissioner Spencer, that how did that relate to the appraisal? And I see that Orr's hand is up as well. So whoever wants to jump in is fine.
If you all have any questions, Rob Orr is here to answer them.
Okay. Rob?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you recall, this was tabled from the December meeting. There were a couple of issues that were raised at that time. One was the ownership of the parcels. Since then, Mr. Sean Lassen, the developer, has done a quitclaim deed. All of the properties are now owned by Kroner Investments that are a part of this development. So that has taken place. The appraisal, we originally, when I think the original sale discussion took place, it was centered around an LRA pricing guide, which really isn't appropriate for LCRA. And Commissioner Spencer, I think, helped us maybe learn some new processes going forward that we will, for important projects like this, certainly seek out appraisals, or in this case, a summary appraisal. That value came in as $40,000. The original agreed price was $39.50. That was tabled at the December meeting. And the developer has agreed to meet us more than halfway and pay $25,000 for this rather small property, but it is strategic, obviously, for this development. And I would suggest that this developer is not seeking tax incentives, but the annual property taxes that we're expecting them to pay upon the completion of the project will be at least $50,000, probably in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. And so the slightly discounted sale price is maybe a soft incentive to offset for the fact that they are not paying, they are not seeking tax abatement. And Mr. Jeff McGee is on this call to answer any questions. You're seeing some of the renderings that we were provided, but I'll turn it over to Jeff at this time for any comments he'd like to make about the project.
Sure. I'm Jeff McGee. I'm with St. Louis Design Alliance Architects. The developer, unfortunately, was not able to attend the meeting today, so I'm stepping in his absence. Yeah, that's a good description of the project. It's an infill project. This has been a site that's been, I think there's been several developments that have been attempted here that just haven't been able to take off with the current overlay zoning, what the neighborhood is wanting, and then several various other ownership attempts at this site has just made it a difficult one. But Sean Lassen has been able to nail that down. We've been able to engage with the contractor and work through pricing along along with the schematic drawings that we put together. We are lining up all of the necessary consultants and have met with the aldermen, the neighbors, and the Park Central Board as well, and received approval from all of them. So this is something that the neighborhood really needs. It's just been sitting vacant for a long time, collecting trash, quite honestly. I used to be a neighbor of this particular site, so I'm very familiar with it. Yep, there it is. So we're asking just for one of the properties where all that green space you can see there in the bottom right-hand corner is just vacant right next to Adams Elementary, and we are proposing the building on the bottom left-hand side. It is technically, I think, courtyard row houses is the letter that we received from zoning actually today, came in the mail. So that's what it's classified as. It is exactly what this neighborhood is looking for and fits the overlay zoning code. If there are any questions, please feel free to begin.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. I'd heard Mr. Orr state that. Well, I'll let you state it. What's the thought process for any further incentives from the developer for this property?
To my knowledge, there's no tax abatements, nothing like that, no incentives. This is just all, they're privately financing this.
Private financing, okay. Okay, I want to make sure that because that factors into this decision and an amount that's less than the appraised value. Commissioner Spencer.
Just a couple of questions on the project because we didn't get too far last month. So these are all fee simple townhouses, but they're for rent and not for sale.
Correct. Right? They will be for rent. They will not be fee simple. This will all be one site development. Okay. Just if that makes any difference with the decision. So we're planning on replatting the site. I believe that process has started as just one singular site boundary. Right now, I think it's chopped up between 8-ish different sites, but we're going to consolidate that.
And will the homes be 2-bedroom, 1 bath? What's the layout? And are there any amenities associated with the project?
Yeah, so we have on-site parking, not above the maximum that is actually put on this site's restriction. There's actually requirement of 0 parking, but it's a tough market to sell, especially with as busy a street as this is. So we have parking, a small dog park, a tenant community area in the back. There's a mail room, small hangout area. And then we have roof decks. You can see some of that in the renderings in the front. And there's a garden unit on the first floor, and then there's a 2-story townhome stacked on top of it. The overlay zoning code allows this to be categorized as a courtyard row house, I think is a technical term. And there are 14 of those, and there are a total of 28 units because each module, for lack of a better term, is going to be 2 units stacked, one on top of the other. And they are 2-bedroom, I believe, and it's changed several times, so forgive me. So the first floor, the first floor unit is just a 1-bedroom, and then the townhouse unit is going to be a potential of 3 bedrooms. So there's one that could be an office, or it could just be another bedroom, but there's a closet in there. So we'll just call it 3-bedroom for the townhouse stacked on top that has the porch and the roof deck.
No commercial on the corner. This is all residential.
No commercial, all residential. Correct.
Thank you. Well, since I've got the time, I want to thank the LCRA staff and also the real estate department staff for going back, getting the appraisal, negotiating what I think is a good deal. I did a little research on the surrounding parcels that are not owned by LCRA. I think the total taxes were about $330 between all of the properties combined, including multiple at $43 a year. So, putting a project like this and this high-end type of project on that lot and increasing the taxes back to the city, I think it's a win. And it's also a great example of what LCRA is really about. And, having an important parcel that is critical to getting the right project that's supported by the neighborhood we held it long enough for the right project to come to us and to be able to make a decision and support a developer to make a major investment in the city and into the neighborhood. So thank you to the staff.
And thank you, Sonetta.
You're welcome.
Including Sunnet, of course.
All right, if there's nothing further on this resolution, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 LCRA 10832.
So moved, request previous role.
Second,
Properly moved and seconded with previous role requested. Is there any objection to that request? Hearing none, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. All right, we're going to take up resolution 23 LCRA 10833 relating to the sale of 2901 Delmar.
This offer has come back from December also, with the same stipulations with the appraisal, and they're offering to purchase this property to add to their future development, and they're offering $5,500. Again, I defer to Rob if you have any questions.
Yeah, I'll just point out that that the previous agreement on this property was $2,306. We did get a summary appraisal on this one as well. The value of that appraisal was $11,000. Metropolitan Village owns all of the other three corners of this intersection. They do not own this lot at LCRA, but they're trying to buy from LCRA. They have agreed to meet us at the halfway point of $5,500. They own most of the property in and around this intersection. There is one lot adjacent to the LCRA property to the west that is not owned by Metropolitan Village or LCRA that I think they'll be working to acquire. But we appreciate your consideration of this sale price of $5,500.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Are there any questions on this resolution?
Robert
Commissioner
or
Spencer.
Sonetta, just a quick question about the lot next door. Is it your opinion that selling this parcel without them having an agreement in place to purchase the other lot is a good idea at this time, knowing that they own a majority of all the other surrounding lots?
I would suggest that the owner of the adjacent parcel is highly unlikely to build anything on the parcel, doesn't own anything contiguous. Really is kind of out of the primary area that developer works in. So I'm hopeful that they'll be able to reach an agreement. I don't know if anyone is from Metropolitan Village at this meeting. Sonetta, are you?
No.
I like to point out they've been maintained a lot for the numerous years also. So they've been cutting the grass and keeping it straight, make sure everything's maintained for that corner also. So.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, I appreciate the use of the.
I just had one question
ahead,
since
Lori. Yes.
I wasn't at the last meeting. Thank you. So Metropolitan Village, they typically build low-income multifamily buildings. Is that correct? Would that be what the future development may entail?
They have several phases. They have a senior citizen building. They have several, as you see the map, kind of the red roof type kind of townhomes and apartment buildings along the east side of Delmar, as you go further east. You see west of there's a kind of taller yellow building there. That's the senior building. But most of the other is affordable units for, they range from, I believe, like a single bedroom to 2 to 3 bedroom units. So it's a provider that we desperately need because they maintain their properties, and it's an affordable type units that we need in the market. So we're hoping with them obtaining this property, they maybe in future phases when they maybe remodel some of their units, they may be able to maybe build onto the site also. So.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any further questions for the staff on this? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution 23 LCRA 10833.
So moved. Request for previous row.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded with previous role requested. Is there any objection to that request? Hearing none, the motion passes and the resolution is approved. All right, now we're going to take up resolution 23 LCRA 10834 regarding the Fisher House.
Okay, this is the last resolution, and again, it went out for appraisal. And it's coming back to us. The Fisher House is a new construction of a home for those that, like the Ronald McDonald, those that visit their families in the VA hospital. And it gives them a place to be and be comfortable. And we do have Fisher House that wants to speak. And again, defer to Rob for any questions.
Okay, and Rob, what was the previous offer and what was the appraisal on this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the previous resolution and agreed upon price was $16,400. We did have the properties appraised as with the other two resolutions. The appraised value came in at $40,000 even, and Fisher House has agreed to pay the full appraised price of $40,000. And there are representatives here to further discuss about their project. I know we talked a little bit about it in December, but they're happy to provide more information.
Outstanding. Then at this time, we'll recognize the Mr. Donahoe and the Fisher House representatives.
Well, thank you very much. This is part of the $1.5 billion expansion project for John Cochran VA Medical Center. The VA is building a hospital of the future. It will draw veteran patients from a 7-state area. And when those patients come in, the Fisher House provides free lodging and food for their families for as long as the veteran is hospitalized, whether that's measured in days, weeks, or months. We do already have one Fisher House located in the St. Louis area at the Jefferson Barracks VA Medical Campus. This one will be slightly smaller, but the house down at Jefferson Barracks, since it opened in 2010, has hosted over 13,000 guests and saved them over $11 million in food and lodging costs. And so this is a project to put a Fisher House, which is on or near the John Cochran campus. It will be built with donated funds and then given to the VA to maintain in perpetuity. The VA agrees to pay for the maintenance, housekeeping, and management of the house. And then our board will retreat to provide support as needed to keep the house fully operational. I'll be happy to take any questions anyone has.
And any questions from the commissioners for Mr. Donahoe? Has the Fisher House reached out to the neighbors on Windsor Place for this project?
We have briefed them, along with the VA, has briefed the neighborhood association. We've attended their fairs. We talked to individuals, and so we've met the people that we think we need to meet with.
And we had a petition for something labeled a petition. It was not a petition, but something labeled petition forwarded to us from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, from about 10 different properties that were not pleased with all the issues. And and we get this from time to time, but I want to make sure that rather than meeting with who you thought you needed to, that you were meeting with the appropriate folks at the Windsor Place and whatever neighborhood association overlaid that. So could you speak to that, or could Mr. Orr speak to that?
Well, what do you want to say here?
Yes, let me talk to that. In fact, I did see that letter that came in from the Covenant Blue Neighborhood Association. They had a lot of things where they objected to any changes on Windsor Place. It'll be 2 years before VA construction starts in that area. And I'm willing to work with the Covenant Blue Neighborhood Association to talk about the design of a new barricade for the street and to try to work out something that is beneficial to the neighborhood association. But we have to have a piece of property that is on or near the Jefferson or the John Cochran campus that the Fisher House Foundation then would build the house. This is a $10 million project. That's what it costs today. It may cost more in the future. But our local board raises half of that money, and then the National Fisher House Foundation will provide the other half, do the construction, and upon completion, then the house and all of the property is deeded over to the VA to maintain in perpetuity.
Understood. And Rob, are you aware of the interactions between Fisher House and the neighbors on this particular transaction?
I am not. I was in receipt of the same letter. I would just comment that this appears to be an appropriate use for this site. There are other commercial and multifamily developments along Spring. This is going to be connected to the Brick Line. The services that are provided to these veterans who are, suffering and needing help and assistance during this time. This feels like, to me, to be a good fit. I do think it would be important that they demonstrate prior to closing on the LCRA properties that they have the other two properties that are necessary for the development to be under contract or have closed upon, but I will defer to the board to make any amendment suggestions to the resolution.
Yeah, I would like to see that as amended in the resolution, in that, Mr. Dono, if you don't get the other two properties, then we have something that's owned by the VA, but they can't do anything with it. Would that be correct?
Well, we would own the property until it's given to the VA to do the construction. The
But if you
VA
couldn't get, no, I know, but my question is, if you didn't obtain the other two adjacent properties that are not owned by the LCRA, then we have the Fisher House or the VA owning something they can't do anything with, correct?
Well, we've been in constant contact with the owner of those two private properties. She's very eager to sell, and we were just waiting to have the outcome of the 4 lots. If we don't get the 4 lots, we don't have a project there.
Right.
And Mr. McBride, I spent 2 hours last Sunday traveling around to other areas suggested by the neighborhood association. None of them comes even close to being what we can use for a Fisher House. 1.2 acres, like I say, on or near the campus.
Understood.
Because we're going to have elderly spouses that spend time in the ICU with their veteran, leaving at night to walk to the Fisher House. And so we don't want a place up on Cass or Martin Luther King Avenue to do that. Go ahead.
And so if we were to approve the sale and make the sale contingent upon you obtaining these other two properties, then that would be in line with your view of the project as well, correct?
That's correct. We would agree to that.
Okay.
So our plan is to progress with that sale as soon as we can get the LCRA properties. Like I say, we've been in constant contact with that owner.
But with the obvious, with the approval of your resolution, we would have that. It's which comes first, the chicken or the egg, but we would have.
I understand.
We'll have it.
I understand. Very good.
Because may I also add that for that private owner, we've also agreed to buy 3 more properties on the south side and her house. And she is very eager to have that close and move on. For the other 3 properties on the south side, we're just waiting on the total funding for the VA project, which we expect within weeks. It's waiting on the House of Representatives to pass the budget for the VA. And by the way, the House of Representatives did approve the funding for the VA project back in July. It was the only spending bill that they approved. So we've had visitors from Congress, from the OMB, from the White House, and all are very positive about the funding to come.
Very good. Then at this time, I would entertain a motion to amend the resolution so that it is contingent, the sale of the Windsor Place properties are contingent upon the closing of the 2 adjacent properties by the Fisher House. And you're muted.
Okay, there we go. As I'm sure everyone is saying, it seems to be some opposition. Don't know from who, I don't know why. Yeah, you know, I think that needs to be explored. I'm not sure who it is. It says the president of Covenant Blue Neighborhood Association. They don't feel it's a good fit. I don't know what that means. You know, if it's that good fit kind of thing to we don't want a homeless shelter in our neighborhood kind of thing, then boo-hoo. But I don't know what that is, and I don't feel comfortable moving forward without understanding that. And this is the first time I think I've heard some opposition to this project. I don't think we heard this back in December. And I also know it was asked of whether or not inquiry was made of people in the neighborhood. And I think the answer was that the conversation was had with those who conversations needed to be had with. That raised a red flag for me, but then I start seeing these notes, or it looks like maybe people who are part of the public who are not visible are somehow sending messages, but I think that should be at least addressed or explored a little bit.
Let me see what Commissioner Spencer has.
Thank you. And just following up on Commissioner Jones' comments, I think this is an incredible opportunity and a great project, but I also don't live on the block. And you know, I think you could look at this resolution in a couple of different ways. Obviously, I think the contingency about acquiring the rest of the lots to assemble the full site is absolutely mandatory. But I'm thinking through, is this approval from our board just the next step for them to go through a more community engagement process with the variance? Because I'm assuming the zoning needs to be changed, and there's other opportunities for the neighbors and the public to voice their concerns on the planning and the zoning side. Or is that something that we want to consider now with the limited information that we have? And to Commissioner Jones' point, it would be best to have that information in front of us, but we don't have that at this point.
It also, I mean, thanks to the vigilance of Commissioner Spencer, this was on for 16,000 in December. Isn't that correct?
Lower, I think.
And
no,
now
16,000.
It was, and now it's 40, and it's okay without hesitation. I mean, I'm not suspicious of anything. I just know that there's something now that I don't know.
Well, as I said, this is a $10 million project to And by the way, we've just built the 96th Fisher House, and the 100th Fisher House will be reached in 2024
Across the country.
across the country. And these are built on military and VA installations that are regional in aspect. In other words, draw veterans or military members from a very wide range.
Oh, I will say that I appreciate the necessity of those people who are with veterans having a safe place and a near place to be. I also understand the vastness of it. Have you spoken with Audrey Ellerman?
I have. I gave her a tour of the Fisher House. She would like us to build on the south side of Windsor Place. We had contacted Seed St. Louis that owns that lot. We made them a very generous offer. They came back and said, not at this time. And by the way, we had offered to lease it back to them for $1 a year for 2 years. But they came back and said, not at this time, and we would urge you to look for a property on the north side of Windsor Place, which are the 4 lots we're discussing right now.
I mean, we also need to be cognizant of the fact that the Cochrane Medical Center is proximate to this, and that's the entire thrust of why the Fisher House needs to be where it's going to be. So we don't want to take any of these decisions in a vacuum of what, while there is a strong neighborhood association there also is a regional VA hospital also proximate nearby that needs to be serviced by this. So a lot of competing issues. I believe, Rob, that Commissioner Jones or Commissioner Spencer and Commissioner Jones had inquired whether there were further checkpoints for planning that would give the neighbors an opportunity to engage with the Fisher House. And I just don't know off the top of my head what that looks like. So if this is the last stop, or if there are other places along the process that would give them an opportunity to air their concerns and in a perfect world reach a resolution.
So I'm not as familiar with this. I don't know, Zach Wilson or David Meyer, if you're familiar. The property is zoned C, multifamily housing. Mr. Donahue may be able to, probably has a better understanding of what the zoning, whether that is a rezoning is required to build this facility.
I don't. We rely on our realtor, James Deering. He's not here today. He had another appointment. But we will follow whatever the city has requires us to do.
And if I could, Mr. Jones referred to it being similar to a homeless shelter, and it is not at all.
I wasn't.
Okay,
It was similar to that. I was saying that not a good fit for our neighborhood is often an argument used for homeless shelters. And
right. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to, but it's nowhere, but it's not at all. It's like a boutique hotel in many regards.
It's like a 4-star hotel.
Yeah, I wasn't saying it was like that at all. I was just questioning the validity of the not a good fit for our neighborhood argument. I mean, I don't know. I would assume this would have, doesn't this go to the Board of Aldermen after it leaves here?
The sale of property does not go to the Board of Aldermen, no, but if there's a requirement for anything related to rezoning, that would definitely go to the Board of Aldermen. I can't speak to whether this would need to be rezoned or not. That's a different jurisdiction under the city government than ours.
Well, I mean, I don't want to hold up a vote, but I because I mean, I don't want to abstain because that shows not participating or having a personal interest, neither of which is true. But I will have to vote no just because I don't understand what this objection is.
I don't know what, this is Lori Koenig. I don't know what the procedures are, but some of the individuals who are on the chat said they are willing to express
Well,
their concerns
yeah.
if possible. I don't know if they can do that. I don't know.
Well, Commissioner Canning, that's typically the thing. We typically don't have public comment in our meetings, and so this is a after effect of the Zoom methodology, which is perfectly fine. But it's if this were to be held in person, then typically we only have the people who are recognized to speak are the ones who speak. So
Okay,
this is
I
coming in
understand.
a little sideways than the typical process. Although, we do want to bolster the file as much as possible. We received the letter from the residents most recently. So
All right, thank you.
absolutely.
Well, I'm also seeing I don't know who the alder, normally it's Sheldon, who's the alder person?
It's Ms. Keys.
Laura Keys. Normally in fact, I'm willing to say close to 100% of the projects that we vote yay on or be supported by or even pushed by aldermen, and I'm seeing a note that this isn't.
I don't think that's true.
Is the alderman on board with you guys?
Well, we've met with her.
We have met, and our realtor, James Deering, has met with Ms. Keys, and she expressed support for the concept. The real issue that the Covenant Blue has is there is a barricade that blocks off Windsor Place right at Spring Avenue. And to build a house of this size and give it to the VA, who will maintain the security of the house, they have to have security to the house. And we've asked to move that barricade down to the west side of the LCRA properties and rebuild that barricade to whatever design the homeowners association would like. So I'm willing to work with the homeowners association to make it a win-win project. But this is the first step. If we don't get these lots, then we don't have a project. And I don't know where else to build it except for the Yateman lot. And we don't want to do it there.
And the barricade you're talking about looks like a wrought iron fence with pillars.
It had bollards out there, 2 stone towers,
Gotcha.
and then a gate.
I see.
And we would leave the towers there, simply open the gate and build another barricade. We agree with keeping Windsor Place closed to through traffic, but it's just a matter of where that barricade will be located.
And we could show you a diagram on this if you wanted to, but I realize we've used a lot of your time already.
No, we have.
Well, I mean, yeah, but the real question is this. Let me ask you this. And again, we appreciate you bearing with us, Mr. Donahoe, and we appreciate your willingness to take the item on December's agenda and discuss it today. I'm hearing concerns from my fellow commissioners about just additional, we're hearing 2 things as far as who the alderman supports, and we're kind of getting whipsawed there, and that's pretty frustrating. And the party that's not accurate on that, is going to lose a lot of credibility. And so, I'll say that if this were something we took up in February, would that be detrimental? Give you guys 30 days to work everything out. Would that be detrimental to any timeline that you have?
No, because it will be probably 2 years before the VA starts construction directly across the street. Because they have to get the funding. Number one, we expect that very shortly. And then with that funding, they will have to hire an overall contractor. And so I would just tell you that it'd be about 2 years before the construction starts in that area.
Well, this board
But we
definitely
can't
wants
can't
that.
afford to lose the 4 lots there. If we don't have, pardon me, if we don't have all 4 of those lots, we don't have a project.
Understood. Well, what I can tell you is this, we're not gonna sell those 4 lots to anyone else right now. We would like you to engage with the neighbors and with Alderwoman Keys and sort out on whose side she is. And I want to know the answer to that, by the way. And I want to report from that as to which side is telling me that there is support from the alderman and which side was incorrect in that statement. And then I'd like to take this up at the February meeting. Mr. Orr?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that he's not on the call, so it's a great opportunity to add to his workload, but I think we should involve Mr. Darrell Smith, our Vice President of Neighborhood Transformation, and the Neighborhood Project Manager to get engaged in this conversation and to meet with both parties and see if there's a way that this can be worked out. But that's literally the role of our Neighborhood Project Managers, and Darrell is the Vice President of that.
That would be outstanding, Rob. I appreciate that suggestion. And typically, it's our experience that these do get worked out. I see someone else's hand waving.
Commissioner McBride, this is Senior Vice President Lance Knuckles. Rob, I would say let's not get him involved. I think this is a moment in time where we can have LCRA and LRA staff facilitate that conversation, and we can have them be involved. But I think this is a moment not to have them lead the discussion because they haven't been involved in it. And so we definitely can partner between LRA and LCRA to convene that conversation.
I hear what you're saying. You don't want to commit a certain, but we want to make sure that there's conversations are facilitated, I believe. Then
the only, and to put, so that we don't have to think about something in February, what I'm thinking about right now. One thing is, what if moving the barricade is not an option? That's one thing. And then 2, to anyone opposing removing that barricade, I want to know why they're so opposed to moving the barricade. If it's just for through traffic, or what the actual issue is, so that interest, I think, can be weighed.
Yeah, we don't understand that question, that issue either, because we would make it a pretty barricade if not identical to that. So
and there are no other houses between the current barricade and where we want to relocate it to.
And one thing, this board, again, we are concerned with development that benefits the city as a whole. And this is development that benefits the region as a whole. One thing that we're not in the mindset of is protecting the not in my backyard NIMBYism. So I think it's good to let these discussions continue. We'd certainly appreciate your continued engagement with us, Mr. Donahoe, and this is the Fisher House that you represent is one of these organizations that has so many benefits to the families that are served by the VA Center. But let's go ahead and we'll entertain a motion to table this, and then we'll take this up. If you need any, we can coordinate. We'll help you coordinate with the folks that have been speaking here on the chat, or whatever we're going to call it, and also Alderwoman Keys. And again, I do want to be really clear. I do want to report back on what Alderwoman Keys has said with regard to this.
Okay.
Both before today and after the meeting, because when I'm getting told an older person saying 2 different things, I get concerned about that.
Okay.
But at this time, I'll entertain a motion to table this until the February meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Is there a request for previous?
Request for previous roll, please.
Probably moved and second to the request for previous roll. Is there any objection to that request? All right, the motion passes. This will be taken up in our February meeting. Thank you again, Mr. Donahoe. And Lori, the next thing we have is I'm going to take up a motion to go to executive session. Did you get the calendar invite for the executive session meeting?
Is that
not,
a different?
It is.
That a different Zoom call?
It's actually a Google invite.
Oh, yes, I have that. Yes.
Okay, very good. So that's what that'll be for.
Okay.
I'm always not having.
Oh, shoot. And Kennard, your internal firewall doesn't like that, does it?
You guys go ahead with it.
Is there a way for Kennard to call in?
I can call him on my phone, or we can use
Okay.
my.
Yeah, he can be,
Great.
he can.
Linda will call Kennard on the phone. Okay. So that presages what I'm going to take up, which is I'm going to this time entertain a motion to go into executive session. David, to discuss.
Yeah, so this is to discuss matters involving leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate as provided by section 610.020 sub 2 of the revised statutes of Missouri.
So moved.
Kennard's on.
Is there a second?
Second.
Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Koenig,
Aye.
Commissioner Spencer,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Chair McBride.
Aye.
Motion passes without voting against.
Very good. And at this time, typically we log out of our Zoom session and go to the Google invite for the executive session. Very good. If there's nothing on the open agenda, our next meeting will be held February 27, 2024. And at this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. We are adjourned. Thank you all. We appreciate it.
Great.